brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and I'm here with my dog, my brother from another big game, James, and it's another episode of the Best of Enemies. Today, we do our edge rushers. We do our top 10 edge rushers. I think that, and I'm going to say this before I ask you how you're doing, you know what I'm saying, because that's obviously number 2 on the agenda. We got to make sure you're good, brother, but I think that both of us made good lists. I think that both of us made realistic lists, but we'll see what the people think, I guess. But how you feeling, brother? How's everything been? Been a good week for you?
Been a good week. Sunshine outside. It's been lovely. It's been 90 degrees out here in Ohio. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. So I'm excited about that. And, OTAs have finally started. Football is back. So just seeing the guys back in the fold and, the players, the pads are getting ready to come out. You know what I mean? Installments are coming in. You get to see some of the young players, and you see some guys out there. So I'm excited. We see combinations. You see people. So I'm getting excited about that, and it's always good to have Best of Enemies show to kind of set it off.
Yeah, these are like the best ones. These are the ones people love the most, I feel like, because they get to argue and tell us how much they think we wrong. But once the schedule, we're gonna have to do our schedule prediction here pretty soon. And once those come out, I'm not getting no arguments. I don't want to hear nobody's mouth, because we have the chip from last year, right? We have that card that both of us got it right to the T. So at least our respective teams. So I'm excited to do that one. But this one's going to be exciting as well, because I think that there's different definitions when it comes to a defensive end. Like that was kind of where we started with, like, defensive end, kind of went more towards like the edge rusher roles. I mean, we'll get into what we have and everything, but what to you at least is a defensive end nowadays? And do you think that there's been like a big shift in the last couple years or decades in what they're asked to do?
A lot of linebackers, you see the kind of the hybrid, because you see even Hassan Reddick, he's labeled as a linebacker, but you see him rushing the passer a lot. You see Micah Parsons, he played at DN, but have him as a linebacker. TJ Watt, DN linebacker. You see that in the different combinations. So there's strictly guys like the 4-3 guys, like the Myles Garrett's, the Nick Bosas, that strictly they are the DNs. But I think there's just that new wave. Even Matthew Judon, he is more of like the DN linebacker kind of slash, so that in a pinch you can drop in coverage. You can play the run. You can play multifaceted things, and that's what makes you really valuable in this league. So I think that's what you're kind of seeing at that DN position, guys that are hybrids. Not just guys that are strictly those 4-3 guys, just those outside edges coming off the 7, just coming off the edge, rushing the pass every single time. Guys are looking for people to be versatile too nowadays in 2023, because the offenses have changed. Tight ends have gotten faster, running backs have gotten faster. There's a lot of 4 receiver sets now. So you got to be able to have guys that can be able to be versatile on that defense. And so I think that's what you're seeing at defensive ends now as well. You're not seeing them as big, in my opinion. There's a lot of light guys, 245, 250s. Hassan Reddick, he's 240. There's a lot of guys that are playing edge that are smaller now, so they can be able to do other things besides just rush that passer.
Yeah, and it's true. You bring up people are getting lighter, and it's true. A lot more speed now coming off the edge than ever before. I think those guys that can kind of dip the corner, to get to the quarterback is big. But it's very true as well when you say a lot of these guys have to be able to do multiple things. You look at some of the guys that we'll talk about on this list, but probably more to hit home for us. You look at the argument that's been had, especially on Twitter.
Hold on. You keep talking. I gotta get my phone. I'm gonna bring it over.
You look at the war that's been waged the past couple of weeks when it comes to Hassan Reddick and Micah Parsons, and 2 totally different things that people do. Obviously, Micah Parsons is going to be asked to be more of that full-time defensive lineman, so it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that. But they're 2 totally different guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what these people can do in different roles. But I was saying, before you had to do your thing, I was saying to hit home a little bit more than just talking about all defensive ends and linemen. You look at Hassan Reddick and Micah Parsons and that argument that people are trying to make. I just think that it's two totally different type of players, two totally different guys that, you know what I'm saying, are asked to do two totally different things for their team. So I don't know, how much did that factor into your top 10 list? Like, you know, when you went through this top 10, how much did it factor in like what they're asked to do from their team?
It factored in, but I think, you know, what really factored in for me as well was the fact that their impact. I think that's the big things that really, you know, factor, you know, their impact. Micah Parsons talked about today, you know, he don't want to just be a guy that's collecting sacks. He said, I want to have an impact on the game, you know, and I think that's where I had, you know, in my back and forth of, you know, between Bosa and Parsons, that's where the edges came just a little bit with that, because of that impact, you know, the dominance, what you know, how much are they impacting that game. I think that's what's really important to me when I'm talking about guys that are just not because a guy can get a sack in a game or 2-3 sacks, but did he really impact the game? I think that's the real key, and I think that's what I look at guys, you know, not only are they getting sacks, but are they impacting the game to where, okay, they're changing the whole, they're wrecking the whole offense. He's wrecking the whole offense by himself. They're having to change up. They're having to change their plays. They're having to go move the tight end over. They're having to go quick count. They're going to have to get the ball. That's when you know he's making an impact, and that's what I'm talking about when I looked at some of the guys on the list I had.
Yeah, I think having a top 5 or even top 10, having a top 10 defensive end or edge rusher, whatever you want to call it, outside linebacker, whatever you really want to call it, is just as important as having that franchise left tackle or whatever. If you can't get to the quarterback on one end of the side of the ball, excuse me, you're going to be doomed. I really do believe that. I think that edge rushers are becoming more and more important because they're more and more rare. Like, it's not very often that you go into a lot of these, you know, seasons that you're like, oh, there's 4 or 5 guys that are going to be amazing for their career. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very rare that you find that guy that's just, you know, like a Micah Parsons, like a Hassan Reddick that just find an amazing role in or just nasty at it. Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, like all these guys, but they're far and few between. The you know, for every Nick Bosa, there's 10 other guys that don't make the roster, right? So it's an interesting position, and I think that it's only becoming more and more important. So we'll see what happens.
That edge guy, if you got edge guys, look, if you got edge guys that, you know, they always say, you know, it ain't all about sacks. I get that. And it's not all about sacks. You want to get pressures. You got to be able to play in that run game. You got to be able to do other facets. But I don't care what anybody says. A sack is like a slam dunk to me. You know, you get a certain type of dunk in the game, and that joker can change the game. You can just actually just yam on somebody, and that changes the game, get everybody pumped up, just like you hit a big 3. That can get this is certain things that just can get the crowd moving or get the team moving and things like that. When you start getting big sacks in the game, those matter. And you know, when I look at, you know, those when you got an edge guy that can consistently put pressure on that opposing team, that quarterback, it changes everything. I mean, when you have an edge guy, it means everything. That's what we have been waiting for on our defense. You know what I'm saying? Before we got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, we have been wanting him to continue to do things, but you know, it was this contract year for me when he turned up. We still had a guy that was just dominating, that can get in that backfield, get after that quarterback, and make plays and change the game. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, and now we have that in Micah Parsons, and you see how it changed the defense. I haven't said this, Joe, in Micah Parsons' rookie year, when our defense was going crazy. Why was it going crazy? It was because we got Micah Parsons. It wasn't because we already had DeMarcus Lawrence. And this is no shade. People think I'm always dissing, but it's no shade. He's just not the guy. He's better when he has guys. So DeMarcus Lawrence is better when he has the Micah Parsons, because now he's a better player because he has the elite player. You understand what I'm saying? When Micah Parsons is not there, now the defense is good, but it's not great, because you can't rely on the DeMarcus Lawrence to take it to that next level that Micah Parsons can. And that's the difference. What's up, Stargazer? What's up, everybody, as well? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what changes the game right there, big dog.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the Eagles have been in that position as well, where we've had a lot of good, very good defensive linemen, excuse me, especially on the interior. That's kind of really where we've had a lot of great defensive linemen. But on the edge, we've never really had those guys that are just 10 sacks after 10 sacks after 10 and just change the game. We've had really good defensive ends. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. We've had really good defensive end years, but we haven't had a consistent guy. So it's interesting, right? We look at Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham's been on the team for a bunch of years as the
100
starter.
years.
Yeah, getting a bunch of snaps.
But he
And
still be
now,
turning up.
yeah, but now he had less snaps than ever. He had a career low in snaps and had a career high in production almost everywhere on the board. So it's just so weird.
Who he
the position
reminds
is
me
so
of right
weird.
now? Brandon Graham. He reminds me of Dwight Freeney.
Yeah,
As far what I understand what I'm saying is because Freeney just kept playing and playing and playing, and you're like, when's this dude gonna retire? But then you look and dude be 37 and still getting 8 sacks,
yeah.
and you're like, well, damn. Should he retire? Because
Do your thing,
he still gets sacks. He still getting in that backfield. So that's what Brandon Graham reminds me of. You feel me? Because I watched Brandon Graham ever since Michigan. I watched him when he was turning up in Michigan, dog.
Yeah, he was
So
a beast.
he's always been Brandon Graham has always been a very good player. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he still came back and did it again with less snaps, with less time on the field, that just shows a tribute to how good of a player he really, really is.
He's something different. And there's and I try not to get caught up into this too much, at least right now. During the season, I'll get way too caught up into it. But there was some Cowboys content creator out there, and I forget who it is, but they said they didn't know why people thought the Eagles defensive line was getting all this praise. They didn't think that they were as good as we just have so much depth. So it's like I just that stood out to me, and it was just kind of crazy to hear that. But it is what it is. I mean, when you have productive players, I don't think that the snaps necessarily dictate what they're going to do. You look at Fletcher Cox, and I've said this about Fletcher Cox this year. I think he's a guy that can definitely break out because he's going to probably see less snaps. And I think that's going to probably help him, to be honest. So I'm excited to see what happens with all these guys, if I'm being honest. I think the Eagles are set up for a really big year when it comes to that defensive line. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, you want to get into this top 10 list?
Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna start with your bottom 5, and I'll let you have the floor, dog.
All right, so where we at? My bottom 5, and now some people, I don't know if you might get frustrated and upset because the guys I have on here, some guys could be higher. You feel me? Some guys could be higher, like TJ Watt. He could be higher. You'll be like, what the hell, TJ Watt below these other guys? What the hell? I feel you. I understand it, but understand where I'm coming from when I say it. So first, Danielle Hunter. I like Danielle Hunter. I've always liked Danielle Hunter, dog. Like, he is a very good player. Minnesota Vikings, he has the prototypical size, 6'5", 260 pounds. Love him. Ever since he's come in the league, dog, he's been a productive player. You feel what I'm saying? It's he's people sleep on him, but he's nice off that edge. And so he got hurt last year, right? So with him missing last year, he fell off in a little bit of production, only had like 6 sacks, but I think he had like a neck injury, but he came back this next season, had like 70 total tackles, I think altogether, 12 sacks. He's been a force since he's come to the league, 15 sacks the year prior, 15 sacks the year prior before that. His second year, 13. He's been a guy that's consistently can get around the edge. He's kind of linear. Even though he's bigger, he's still kind of linear, and I like that because he reminds me of that basketball type, long arms, and he's athletic. He keeps going after the ball, and I think he slept on. A lot of people don't talk about Danielle Hunter, but I think he's a very good player, and once again, he showed it again. Coming back from injury. Like I said, he missed some games last season, only got 6 sacks, but came back in after getting fully healed and gets 12. So that just shows you how good he was. He's a double-digit sack guy every single season, and I like him.
I think a reason why he might get a little lost in the shuffle is because of kind of re-identified Vikings team, right? Like prior to having Justin Jefferson and I mean, even when they had Kirk Cousins, they were kind of led by that defense. They had a lot of really good defensive players. You think of Harrison, you think of, Danielle Hunter, you think of a couple of different guys on that defense. So I think that's really, because you're right. I mean, he hasn't gone anywhere. He's still doing his damn thing. So I like that pick. I like that pick.
Yeah. So Danielle Hunter. So here it is. I got TJ Watt. He's down. He could be higher because we know TJ Watt is a dog. He's a beast. He's been a beast. I mean, just a year prior, hey, 22 sacks, almost had the sack record. You've seen what he done. But in my opinion, he missed 9-10 games.
He did.
That was a big factor for me. I mean, he came in with sacks. I mean, still had he did something. I think he played the Bengals this past season, had 2 interceptions against Joe Burrow where he jumped up in the air, took the ball out the air both times out the air. So he's a phenomenal player. He can play in the pass game. But like I said, he missed 10 games. And so that's why a TJ Watt is going to be down for me this year. We'll see what happens. But for you to miss that many games, and when I've seen the production of other guys I really like the Brian Burns and the Judon, I like those guys, and they played the full season. So that's the reason why I had to put TJ Watt a little bit farther down. So I'm sorry, TJ Watt. I didn't mean to do that to you. I love you. I think you're a dog, but please forgive me. But I had to take you down because you missed a lot of games. And so next.
I think I have him a little bit higher, but I respect that. I mean, that's, not to cut you off, but that is like the argument that you make against it because it is very true. He did miss a lot of games, but yeah, I respect it. TJ Watt, dog.
All right. So then next, I got my guy, Von Miller. Now you can say, Von missed games too. But you know what? When I look at Von Miller, he's a monster. I mean, he's 34 years old now, right? 34 years old. He leaves Denver, perennial just animal, goes over to the Rams, right? Gets a Super Bowl over there, gets 9.5 sacks. Comes over to Buffalo, right? And got 8 before he got injured. And I'm going to just tell you right now, Von Miller on here maybe be a little biased, okay? He might be a little biased for me on this list. You could put other players on here, but I look at this guy's body of work. I can't lie. I add a little body of work with him, and maybe I'm a little prejudiced with him, whatever you want to call it. But I just feel like you left Denver, animal. You went to the Rams, helped them get to a Super Bowl because you definitely made an impact when you came over there. Then you go over to the Buffalo Bills, and you were one of the top in pressures. You had 50 pressures before he got injured. And you had, like I said, 8 sacks over at Buffalo. So it just says that you go to any team, you will be good. He's that damn good. And that's why I had to just put him on my list. So maybe it was one of those honor things. I don't care. But Von Miller is still an animal to me, in my opinion. And then I'm going to go after Von Miller, Matthew Judon, okay? And so here's the thing about Matthew Judon. He was over there with Baltimore Ravens, right? Had some decent seasons, but he's came over to New England and been crazy, dog. I mean, he's got 26 or 27 sacks in the last couple of years. I mean, he had 17 or 18 this past season. The thing I like about him, he's relentless, dog. He can play the run, but the thing I like about him, good pass rush moves, but he's relentless. He is after you every single play. I remember when the Cowboys played him in 2021. I mean, he was causing the Cowboys a lot of fits and a lot of problems. So, I mean, he's just been consistent, and I feel like he's going to do this another couple of years, dog. I feel like he's a guy that's going to get maybe another 13, 14 sack seasons for another couple of years before maybe he downtrends a little bit. But as of right now, I think he's the guy that's going to get you about 12 or 13 sacks. I'm not saying he's unblockable. I'm not saying he's super athletic, right? He's not that super bendy, super athletic guy, but he is a guy that is relentless after the play. He's all out, doesn't give up every single play, and you see it. And I really like how he plays the game. And I think that relentless type style is something that I really kind of gravitate to. So when I see players like that who just never give up, I really kind of put them kind of high up in my list.
Yeah, and 28 sacks. 28 sacks since he's been with the
28 sacks,
Patriots.
right?
Yeah.
And I think he had a double digit, maybe one double digit sack season with the
His closest was 9.5, right
nine and a
before.
half,
It was the year right before he left
right?
for New England.
So and he was hovering about 8 sacks.
Yep.
He was hovering around it, so it was ready for the breakout time. And I think the way Bill Belichick runs that defense, they kind of let him kind of do his thing, kind of open it up to kind of cater to his skill set, and that's why you see him kind of breaking out and blowing up. And I think he's going to continue to do it. You feel me? I don't think he's going to be like downtrending anytime soon. I think he's got another couple, maybe 2-3 years of this high productivity over at New England. And so then next, I'm going with Brian Burns. I love Brian Burns, dog. I ain't gonna lie. He reminds me of like a basketball player for real, for real. Like he's 250 pounds, but he's like a wiry 250. He's Spider-Man. He does the Spider-Man moves, after he gets his plays. But I mean, he's been breaking out, but he's been consistent since he's been drafted by the Carolina Panthers, right? He's been consistent since he's become in the league. I think he would have 12 sacks this past season, been 8 sacks, 9 sacks. I mean, but the guy's consistent and the arrow is going up. I like to see him continue to get better in the run game. But for him being out as a big guy, like maybe some of the other guys we talked about, he's got good speed to power. You feel what I'm saying? Like he can push you back in that backfield and make plays. And I really feel like he's the catalyst on that Carolina defense, and they can continue to build players around him. I think that arrow is definitely pointing up for him. And like I said, I think they can move him around and do different things with him because of his versatility. And that's what I like about Brian Burns. And like I said, he's a young player. He's not an old guy. Young, I think he's 24, 25. So the arrow's definitely pointed up with him, and I really like his game. And like I said, he reminds me of a basketball player playing defensive end, and I like those type of athletes.
Yeah, like what's his name that used to play for Jason
Taylor.
Jason Taylor. He kind of gives me those vibes. I'm not gonna say he's him, but he definitely gives me those vibes. I like Brian Burns. Yeah, I can't hate on any of these. I cannot hate on any of these. All right, so I'll get to people are probably gonna disagree with a couple of these, and that's fine. This is my list. This is y'all's. Even though I saw a Cowboys fan already bring up Josh Sweat, so that made me feel a little bit better about this. Look, there's definitely people I could have put over Josh Sweat. There's definitely arguments for probably 5 or 6 guys that I was kind of debating at number 10. The reason why I put Josh Sweat there, and there's a couple different reasons, to be 100% honest with you. Josh Sweat has been, every rep that he's gotten, he's taken advantage of. He's gotten better. His sack numbers have gotten better. You go from 4 to 6 to 7.5 to 11 this past year. And just to give you a little bit of reference, looking at his PFF number, right? His PFF, I think he was around 86, if I'm not mistaken. And the best guy, I don't want to give away any spoiler alert, guys. Myles Garrett to both of us is probably number 1, and his was, I think, 92, something like that. So it's not like there was a huge gap. I really like Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat to me is a guy that is ascending, and my bad, my microphone unplugged. But if you're staying on a team like this that is going to obviously keep on investing in the trenches, I think that you're going to continue to get the best out of him. So I like Josh Sweat. I think he definitely deserves that spot. Matt Judon, you said it. I think he's finally kind of found a spot that fits for him. Before I just kind of run over, how do you feel about Josh Sweat? Is there any pushback on that at all?
Josh Sweat, top 10. I'm gonna say he's in the top 15, but I don't know if I'm gonna put him in a top 10 right now. But he's definitely a player to be reckoned with. You understand what I'm saying? But I don't know if I can just put him top 10. But he's ascending, and let's see this season. I'm not gonna be mad at you though. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm not gonna be mad at that.
That's the thing. I think at 10, I like your 10, don't get me wrong, but at 10, it was like, do I want to put somebody in here that I'm just like, yeah, he's great, and we know he's great. Josh, to me, I think that's a good bet. I really do like that bet. I think that he's going to be top 10 by the end of the year. And I think you can make a good argument that he's top 10 right now. So I went ahead and put him at top 10. So shout out to Stargazer Sports. Really.
Yep.
I really did. I
Yeah,
really did it.
she gonna give you the blues, big dog. So
I
you know
love
what
it.
I
That's
mean.
fine.
That's
Fine.
keep it coming.
See, and people over here saying, I think people are gonna be Eagles fans are gonna probably be more upset with my top 5 than they will be with yours. So I think that's gonna be very interesting when we get there. But either way, Matthew Judon, I think you said it perfectly. He's a guy that I think he's finally in a system that's allowing him to kind of spread his wings. I love the dude. Max Crosby, honestly, could have been higher. I'm not gonna lie. He could have definitely been a lot higher. I don't have many reasons why I have him at 8 outside of I like Joey Bosa better. I like Brian Burns better. I think that they make you said earlier the impact on the game. I think that Joey Bosa and Brian Burns, you know that they're in the game no matter what the situation is. With a Max Crosby, there is times where I feel like he kind of gets drowned out. I feel like he kind of gets lost. He's a very good player, amazing player, and you can definitely make an argument he deserves to be a little bit higher. But with me, I like these other two guys a little bit better. I think that they, like you said, impact the game a little bit more. You're going to know that their presence is there. And Joey Bosa, you know, where did you have him? Did you have him on your bottom 5?
I didn't have him in my list at all. Now, understand this. I love Joey Bosa. Okay, I had Nick Bosa high. But the only reason why I didn't have Joey Bosa in there because he's just hurt too much. Every single year it's an injury with him. And I feel like that's the reason why I didn't put him in the top 10 because he's just so injury prone. But I am telling you right now, I love Joey Bosa. I've always loved Bosa, but the guy's got to stay healthy. You feel me? I don't think he's playing a 16-game season in like 100 years. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's got to stay healthy. But as far as the talent, the Bosa boys are beasts. They monsters. I seen them at Ohio State. Like I said, you know, I live out here in Ohio. So Ohio State, I live out here in Columbus, Ohio. Actually, Ohio State University is literally from where I live, probably 10 minutes away from me. So you know what I'm saying? So I see it intently. So the Bosas are like worship like gods out here. So yeah, definitely love to put Joey in there, but too much injuries, man.
Yeah, it's hard. Hey, look, I think going through this top 10, and that's why I was like at 10, I'm gonna put somebody that I can make an argument for. You know what I'm saying? Like there's really, once you get there, it's like, all right, well, what do you like about this guy? A little bit more than that guy, a little bit more than this guy. You know, and even when you get in the top 5, I feel like it's kind of splitting hairs. But Joey Bosa is hurt a lot. There's no denying that. There's no arguing that. I just think pure talent. That guy is
pure talent. He's
different.
a monster. Yeah, he's the Bosas are different. They're different. You feel me?
They were built to be defensive ends.
Yeah,
right? Like there's not many people you can say that about. It's crazy.
Exactly. There's certain players that are built to play football and they're built to play certain positions. That's the position they were built to play.
Yeah, I like Joey.
The dad was a wrestler.
Yeah. They're just athletic. They're just all around athletic. I mean, I like Joey. I could have probably put Max over Joey because of now that you brought up the injury thing, like I didn't really think about it like that. So maybe there's an argument to maybe move Max Crosby up 1 at least. But Brian Burns, I like Brian Burns. I just think that he's consistent. I mean,
yeah, I like Brian Burns.
When you think about Carolina, what do you think of? You think of maybe the last couple draft picks, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you're thinking of that. But outside of that, I'm thinking of Brian Burns. I'm thinking about maybe some of their offensive weapons, you know. But realistically, Brian Burns has been very, very solid for them. So I think 6 is a fair spot. And maybe he creeps up a little bit more. You know, I think that he has the possibility that the Panthers could be good this year. Who knows? I don't have the most confidence in that, but you know, they might be. Who knows, right?
Hey, but the thing about him, he's gonna bring it every single season.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing about him. He's gonna bring it every game, every play. And like I said, he's got really nice bend, good speed off the edge. You know, multifaceted type player, and like I said, the arrows continue to go up for him. So I'm excited to watch him again this season.
Yeah, and I think so. Just reviewing, I think it's crazy how different our top 10s were. I didn't realize that when I was making these graphics. I didn't realize how much
Mm-hmm.
different it was, but that's good. This is good. Usually we agree on too many things, so this is good discourse. That
Hey, when you throw Joey in, I was like, ooh, okay. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I thought he was on your list. I'm not gonna
No.
lie, I thought he was on your list.
I was,
That's
like I said, I was thinking about it, but I was like, man, you know what? I love Joey, but every single year,
that's
I
fair.
mean, every year he's hurt. I just can't do it. I just can't do that. And those injuries are really taken away from his game, because he's not as effective because of those injuries. So I wonder how much longer he's actually going to play, and that's what's in my head about Joey. I don't think he's going to play, in my opinion, a very long time. I think he'll look at it like, hey, I'm done with this. I'm tired of doing it every single year. Because Bosa, if you look at Joey, I feel like Joey and Nick are different. I feel like Joey does love the game, but I feel like Joey could walk away from it like, man, I ain't doing this no more. I'm cool. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like Nick is really on it. You know what I mean? He's the
He's
younger
into the
brother.
game, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just a little bit more on it than Joey, just from me, the outside looking in. And so I just feel like I don't know how much longer Joey's going to play.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And you just look at personality wise too. I think Joey will probably have a more possibly fruitful after football life, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
I
because
can
he'll be
see him
chilling. He'll be having a good
exactly. I
time.
can
He'll
see
be
him
living
being
his
that
best
guy.
life.
Exactly. I can see him being that guy on TV and
Yeah.
reality shows and dumb stuff
Yeah,
like
having a
that.
good
So
time kicking it.
exactly, just chilling, living his best life, like you said. So I'm gonna do my top five first, and then we'll go into
Yes,
yours
please do.
because I
You
think
always be making me go first every
yeah,
time.
exactly. I figured I'd switch it up, and I think this will start some good conversations. We'll start with five, to be honest with you, because TJ Watt. I mean, you did say the injury last year, but I just felt the difference you saw when he was on the field
Mm-hmm.
compared to when he wasn't, and what that defense was just incredible, just crazy. I really do believe. Obviously, I think he won DPOY, right? He won DPOY the year before, or was
Yeah,
close.
he wanted, because I think that's when he had the 22 sacks.
Yeah, so I mean, TJ is he's another one of those guys. When he's on the field, he's there. You got to plan for him. You got to be prepared for him. And honestly, I could make an argument that he probably should be in that top three, but the injury is what kind of kept me away from doing that. So like I agree with you with what you said. So, but it kind of wasn't as drastic for me. Like I still had to put him in that top five, but I respect it. I'm not mad at it. I think that it's a fair argument. This is probably where people get mad at me, at least Eagles fans. I don't think that Hassan Reddick, and my girlfriend might hate me saying this too. She just walked back in the room. But I don't think
I
that
just tell the
Hassan
truth.
Reddick.
It's okay.
It is the truth. It is the truth, and that's what we got to do here, right?
Yep.
I don't think Hassan Reddick and Micah Parsons are the same type of player. I don't think that I can ask Hassan. I do think that Hassan Reddick can pass. He can do well in pass coverage. I do think that he's a good run stopper. I do think that he can do multiple things if asked. But I don't think he can do all of that while still being a premier edge rusher. So I feel like in that facet, when you look at Micah Parsons, he can do pretty much anything you ask him and still give you 10 plus sacks. So it's like I feel like Hassan Reddick found a perfect niche for him, a perfect spot for him, and we, have taken advantage of it. Do not get me wrong, and I have him in my top five for a reason. I think he is number four. I think number four is very, very fair. When you look at the guys above him, Myles Garrett, I think, is like in a class by himself, and then it's
Right.
just everybody else. But Nick Bosa is better, in my opinion, when it comes to stopping the run. In my opinion, if he had to drop back in coverage, I'm probably trusting Nick Bosa a little bit more. Micah Parsons, same exact thing. I'm trusting him more if he has to drop back. I think that he provides. If I'm rating Hassan Reddick as an edge rusher 10 out of 10, I would probably rate Micah 8.5. Like, I don't think that he's terrible by any means. I think he's way above average, but I do think that Hassan Reddick is the more refined pass rusher. But like I said, Micah Parsons can do just about everything and still be a very, very good, top tier pass rusher. So I had to keep that in mind and be honest with that. But I don't think four is anything to be ashamed of. I think that's
No, you put him in the top five is definitely nothing to be ashamed of. You get what I'm saying? I mean, like hey, I put him in my top five. You know what I mean? But I already liked Hassan Reddick before because I watched him when he played at Temple. Okay, so I knew about Hassan Reddick when he was in college. So when he went to the pros and he really didn't have the career, in the early parts, I was kind of disappointed because I thought he was going to be a good player. But like a lot of people have said, systems help. Maybe you're in the wrong system. Maybe they didn't use you correctly. We've seen it time and time again in sports that people go to the right type of system, coach, and they thrive. So that could be definitely for him. But he's did it in other places as well. So that's why I kind of put him up in the list for me because he did it in different organizations.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And people are saying, Nick Bosa in coverage. Maybe I'm gassing that. Maybe that.
Yeah, you are gassing that.
That wasn't the best example.
When you said it, I said, okay.
Yeah, even when I said it, I was kind of like, I don't know what the hell I just said. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You can make an argument to put Nick Bosa over Micah Parsons, but I think that Micah Parsons is just more.
He's over in mine.
He is. So I think that it's funny that, but Myles Garrett, I mean, is there really anything you got to say about Myles Garrett? Myles Garrett,
he's the ultimate pass rusher, dog. Like he was built to pass rush. Like you talked about the Bosas, he was built because, hey, when he was at Texas A&M, he was an animal. He was an animal at Texas A&M. But people were trying to not say he could be a bust, but they were like, does his motor run? All the time. I think that was the big concern. Does his motor run all the time? But he's coming. Myles Garrett is an animal. We played him a few years ago, and he wrecked our whole team, wrecked the whole offense. Terrence Steele, he killed him, and that was his rookie year. And we put him in there and told him to block him 1-on-1. He had like 2.5 sacks that game. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you can't. I mean, he has the perfect 6'4". He's like 270. Dog, he's huge. He's athletic. You've seen his videos where he's freaking jumping over things. Like he's just an athletic freak. He's like totally different. And I mean, what can you say about him? And you can't stop him. You can't block him 1-on-1.
Yeah, Matt. I think Matt put it perfectly. I don't know if he meant it this way, but I'm taking it this way. He said Myles Garrett is his top 5. I mean, he is. He's basically he's like the top 5, and then everybody else. I think the better question is, and you have a longer catalog than me, so you could probably answer this a little bit better than I could. But where does he rank? Like at least the last 20 years, maybe. I could probably say like 20. Like where would you rank
all
him?
Time?
I don't want to say all time. Well, maybe all time, but
like
at
the
least
last
of
20
what we've
years.
seen. Yeah, but at least of like the 2000s. Where would you rank him? And people in the chat too. I would love to know what y'all think.
Myles Garrett could be in top 10.
Yeah,
he can be a top 10 in the 2000 pass rushers. Yes, because you can put Myles Garrett in any generation and he's going to dominate. Let's keep it real. You can put him in, because I've been watching football since the 70s. He would annihilate those errors. I'm keeping it real. He would annihilate the 70s and 80s. He would annihilate those offensive linemen.
He's too athletic too. That's the crazy part. It's like he's strong.
He would have
athletic too.
He would have 20+ sack seasons every year for at least 5 years. Easily. And that's not even exaggerating, dog. That's not exaggerating.
Easily. Yeah. And you didn't have those mobile quarterbacks that you have now. That's a really good. My microphone didn't want me to talk about Myles Garrett, apparently. But
there it is.
It'll be a good conversation to have where people think Myles Garrett ranks all time, because he's something different, man. And
he's different. He's a whole different player, dog. Like I said, he would wreck any era.
Yeah, and it's crazy that it feels like they're just continuously coming out like this too. Like there's going to be some dogs. Like I'm not saying anybody in this class is definitely going to be that, but you got some guys that could be very interesting in this league. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially if 2 of those guys are on the Eagles, right?
Shout out to my dog Tavis for the $9.99 holler. He said Myles in the 70s would be Mean Joe Green. He ain't lying. He would be Mean Joe Green for real. Like
he'll probably be better.
He'll probably be better than Mean Joe Green. Like, and that's no Mean Joe Green, dog, because I watch Mean Joe Green. You feel me? Like I'm one of the few people that can say I watch Mean Joe Green. You know what I mean? I watched that Pittsburgh defense. You know, I watched these guys like Richard Dent and, you know, a lot of these defensive ends, you know, Javon Curse, the freak. I watched all those guys even back in the day, the Reggie Whites. You know, this dude can play. I mean, this dude is, I'm not going to say he's Reggie White, but dog, if he was back, I'm telling you, if he was back in them days, bro, he killing all them dudes.
He Reggie White-ish. Yeah, it sucks because it's like it shows you that no matter how good an individual talent is, you still need a team because that man may never win a championship. Like, how old is he right now? He's like, what, 28, 29, maybe?
What is he, 28? He might be 20. No, he ain't that old, is he? I don't think he's that old. I think he might be 28. I think he might be 28.
I gotta know now because this guy,
I'm looking it up.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he's only 27.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
So
Wow.
you feel me? He's only
That's
27,
wild.
dog.
That's actually wild.
So he's got at least, I would say, the way he's an athlete, and he's different like the Julius Peppers. He's the type of guy I feel like can play if he wanted to like 35 and be high level.
Yeah, Julius Peppers is another guy that he was fun to watch. That man was fun to watch. And he wasn't even like the best of him. I mean, there was probably a good, I would say a couple
Julius
years
Peppers
span.
was nasty, dog.
He was always nasty, but I mean like that he was like that guy.
Right.
He was maybe like 2 or 3 years. There was like years that you were like, oh, that dude's that dude. You know what I'm saying? But he was always nasty. Just that athleticism. I remember one time seeing him get an interception off the you know, from the defensive line, and you weren't seeing that back then. And taking it back, you were not seeing that from guys. So yeah, he was fun to watch.
Well, you know, the thing I loved about him because he played basketball. You know, I watched him when he played with Carolina basketball team. You know, and when he was playing in the NCAA tournament, I think that's what really. I like watching guys that can play dual sports and be good at both. You just know they're going to be a good player. You know, when he was at Carolina, he was just nasty. But, you know, that's what I'm talking about. When I see a Myles Garrett, that's like he's Julius Peppers. If not, I think he's probably better than Julius Peppers. In my opinion, I mean, dog, there's nothing that he can't do.
Yeah.
As far as the edge rusher.
Yeah, it's facts. You remember Charlie Ward? You remember Charlie Ward when he won the Heisman?
Yeah.
He got drafted by the Knicks.
Yeah.
I was reading. I know that's so random, but I was watching a like documentary about him. My dad used to be a huge Knicks fan, and I never realized all that stuff about him growing up because I was young. You know what I'm saying when he was playing, and I never realized all that about him. But now, like I knew the Charlie Ward that won the Heisman, and I knew the Charlie Ward that had a career with the Knicks, and it was crazy that they were the same person. You know what I'm saying? It was the wildest thing. But anyways,
you know what you should do? You know, Tuck had an interview with him, and this other guy had an interview with Charlie Ward.
Really?
I think it's on his channel. You got to check it out. It's a very good interview because Charlie Ward was a monster. Like I said, you know, he didn't get the recognition, you know, obviously as a quarterback, you know, football. But to be able to do that and play basketball, you got drafted, and then you went to the Knicks and turned up, and everybody knew you for football, not basketball. But I watched when he was in basketball playing with Bobby Sir and those guys. He was nice.
Yeah, he was fun to watch. And hey, you know, I was never a Knicks fan, but yeah, he was one of those guys that were definitely fun to watch. I definitely thought he was underrated. It's crazy. It's crazy, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I knew you would probably, I knew you would probably know it. I just thought that was a crazy story. But one day maybe we'll just sit here and talk some basketball too. Who knows?
Oh, I know. We could talk basketball.
You got your top 5 going. So what you thinking, brother? Let me talk to you. Talk to me about your top 5.
All right, so you have Max Crosby a little bit lower. I had him a little bit higher, and the reason why I had him a little bit higher, Max Crosby reminds me of maybe a poor man's Jared Allen. Yeah. He reminds me of that because
that's a good one. I never thought that's a good one.
Jared Allen or Grant Wickstrom, a better Grant Wickstrom. I don't know if you ever remember him. He used to play for the Rams. Yeah, he used to play for the Rams. I think did he play for the Eagles no. Or you know what? Or Chris Long.
Okay, I know that one.
You know what I'm saying? You remember Chris Long, right? And Chris Long was you know, he was highly picked. That's what he reminds me of. A guy that has good ability, but man, Max Crosby plays hard every single play. And the thing I like about Max Crosby is he plays great in the run game too. He's was one of the tops in the league, stops in the league. You know, in run stops. for defensive ends. The guy plays all out. You know he's going to bring it. I think he would have 15 sacks this past season, and he's been there every single year. I don't think he only had 1 year where he didn't have double-digit sacks already. And I feel like he's still trending up. I mean, he's still going to continue to get better. I don't feel like he has topped out. I don't feel like he has touched his potential. He's going to get even better as a player. And the thing I love about Max, he studies film. And I feel like that's going to help him get to be even of a better player. Well, we can say a better player. So I love everything about Max Crosby. Like I said, max effort, great moves, good power. But what I think I really love about him is that he's good in that run game, and that's what really kind of separates him from me with other guys, is the guys that can play in the run game if you play on the edge, because a lot of guys can rush the passer, but now everybody can kind of stop that run, and he can definitely do it, and he's a willing guy to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a guy that, just here and there. He gets a lot of run stops in the game, so that's what I really like about Max Crosby. Then we're going to go to 4, where I got Haason Reddick. So, yeah, okay. Well, so first of all, I'm going to give Haason – the main reason why I got Haason on here is because, once again, I told you, I'm a little biased because I liked Haason when he was at Temple. Yeah. I liked him when he came out of college. You know what I mean? I thought he was I remember watching him at the draft. I was like, man, he's going to be a good player because I watched him, and I think I did a scouting report on him because I think I wanted the Cowboys to draft Haason Reddick in 2017. I think I wanted them because we were looking for an edge player. Matter of fact, yes. And I know he played linebacker and edge, and that's when we got Taco Charlton. But he was a guy that I was looking at like, man, we could get him because, remember, he was a first-round selection. We drafted in the first round. We got Taco, but we probably went with more of the measurements because he was the 6'6" guy, and, he was undersized. Went to Arizona, didn't have the career that you probably would have liked, you know what I mean? But we saw that they had him out of position. But everybody knows when you're trying to get that contract and you're trying to get that money, you turn up. So he turned up that last season, got him double-digit sacks, goes over to Carolina for the 1 year, turns up and gets like 15 sacks over there, and then comes back over here with the Eagles and gets 16 sacks. Not a supreme athlete, in my opinion, Joe, but he's another try-hard guy, and I think that's what I really like about him. He does have a lot of power. He's not great in the run game because I think he's undersized, like 6'1", 240. He's undersized for that position. But the thing I can like about him, that he can drop sometimes in coverage for you. He can make some plays here and there in coverage for you, and that's what I like. So he's got a little versatility with that, and you saw he did it when he played at Arizona, so he can play linebacker, right? Yeah. But obviously we think the edge is the best spot for him. As I said, I don't think he's a supreme athlete, but, man, he is a powerful guy for his size. Yeah, and I think effort. Yeah, and I think that's what really helps him. And I think his pass rush moves are a lot more advanced than people talk about. And you can tell he studies film too, and I think he's a film guy. So I think that's why, I have him. You go to 3 different organizations in 3 years and get double-digit sacks, you got to be in the top 5, buddy. Yeah. All right. And so number 3, and this is what I wrestle with. This is between my number 2 and my number 3. Micah Parsons and Nick Bosa, because easily I could put Micah Parsons above Bosa because he's more versatile than Bosa. You can put him at line, but you can put Micah anywhere, dog, and he can be good to great. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know it. Bosa is strictly a 4-3 defensive end, but damn it, he's a dog 4-3 defensive end. So let me talk about my dog, Micah Parsons, first. I love, first of all, I'm gonna be honest with you. When we drafted Micah Parsons, dog, I didn't know too much about him. You know what I'm saying? Because he sat out the COVID year, and so I didn't know too much about him until I watched one. I remember when when we drafted him, I said, okay, let me go watch this tape because I haven't really seen Micah Parsons. I watched one game. I think, who did they play? They played Northwestern. I watched one game, dog. No, this is before we drafted him. My bad, Joe. I watched one game. This is like 2 months before we drafted him. One game, Joe. I said, get him.
Yeah, I remember having and I'm not trying to. I hate having to say nice things about Micah Parsons, but I'm a Penn State fan. But I had to have arguments. And they lie a lot because I'm going to find the videos because there were literal Cowboys content creators on my shows saying, "Oh, well, talk me into taking Micah Parsons," that act like Oh, I loved Micah. Like there was some people I had to and Eagles content creators too. I'm not gonna lie, but I was telling people I wanted Micah Parsons just different. He's not a guy that you see very often. So
No, he's different.
it is what it is. He's not an
He
Eagle. He's
he
trash.
he's I don't know if I'm gonna say transcendent, but dog, he's different. Okay, and
Yes,
we
and I said it. I said it coming into the draft. I was like, and I told people, let's take him at 6. I don't want to trade nothing. I said it. He's going to be that kind of guy that you look back at and have the type of impact if he wants to, honestly. Because if he just says I'm only going to do one position, then he's only going to do one position. But he could be a guy that kind of changes what the linebacking position is, changes even maybe what the defensive end position is. He has very, very unique skill set, and I'm talking way too nicely about him. So go ahead,
I
James. I'm
mean,
sorry.
it's you. Hey, you just heard me talk way too nicely about Hassan Reddick, so we got to give
Hey,
our guys flowers. You got to give the guys flowers. If you're a dog, you're a dog. No matter what team you're on,
facts.
you're a dog. And Micah Parsons is a dog. I think he had like 90 total pressures. One of the tops in the league in pressures, tackles for loss. Just the ability. I mean, first 2 years, 26 and a half sacks. Your first 2 years. DeMarcus Ware didn't even do that. DeMarcus Ware came in first year, got like 8 sacks. Second year, I think he got like 11, and then you saw him hit like 14. And then his fourth year, he hit 20. And then you really start seeing his third and fourth year, him really turning up and going crazy. But Micah has been that dude since day one. You feel me? And this year, I think he's going to be crazy because the thing that he said in his what he just said is he wants to change the game. It ain't just about sacks. He wants to change the game every single play to where he's wrecking the whole offense. And when you're doing that as a player, it makes the game easier for everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's the level he's trying to get at. And it only be his third year. And so, like I said, he said he ain't concerned about sacks, but dog, go ahead and get you them 15 to 20 sacks, bro, because they might try to high side you on that contract. So go ahead and get them big sacks money and do your thing, Micah. But Micah's
like
just
10
different.
mil a sack. That's basically
You
what you got to
feel
look
me?
at.
And and Mike is just different. 6'3", 245 pounds. And like I said, you see some of these guys out here, the 260, 270. Mike is just as strong as them guys, but a little bit lighter. And just when you watch him, I don't care. His change of direction is different. His change of direction is different to where he can start and stop and go. And his closing speed is like none other. I think almost second to none. His closing speed is second to none. So that's why I said I could easily put him 2. But I'm gonna go with Bosa at number 2.
Can I ask you a question real quick? I want to ask you
Go
not
ahead.
to elongate this conversation about Micah Parsons, but you guys, the Cowboys are in a really weird position. How confident are fans that Micah Parsons will even get or be able to be paid when it's time for him to get paid? Because he's going to get, I mean, we're talking about him changing the game. He's going to change,
If Dak got paid,
the way that contract looks too.
If Dak got paid, he's getting paid.
All right, I just wanted to know that. I wanted to realistically know that because you guys do have the cap, the franchise.
That's one dude that they have to pay. You feel me? Like he's one of the no-brainers. Like you can't let him go. Like this is a guy that because he's a different player. Like he's almost transcendent. So those type of players, they're getting 2 contracts already. I mean, you paid Ezekiel Elliott and those guys. No, you're getting a second contract. It's just not what the contract is. It's how much the contract is going to be. That's all it is. That's the only thing you're going to be looking at with Dallas is how much is he going to be making? Because he's probably going to be one of the highest paid players in the league.
Easily. Yeah, he's going to probably be the highest non-quarterback.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait till y'all have to make those decisions. Him, Trayvon.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We'll do that next week. I mean, we'll talk about all these. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're totally good. And so here is like I said, I wrestled with it because I easily could have put Micah Parsons at number 2, but I went with Nick Bosa at number 2 just for the fact that, man, I'm sorry, dog. Like Nick Bosa, run passing, his run grade, he tops out at, I think at PFF, I think his run grade was like 88. His pass rush run rate was like 25. I think he was like second in pressures this past season. Almost had 20 sacks. He's an animal, dog. I don't care. He changes games. Nick Bosa changes games. I don't care what nobody tells me. Nick Bosa changes games, and I think that's the reason why I have him a little bit. I think that's the reason why I have him over Parsons, because I feel like Parsons is more versatile than him, right? Parsons is more versatile than Nick Bosa, but I feel like Nick Bosa changes the game a little bit more than Micah Parsons, even at the edge. And I think that's what, because he's only playing one spot and he's still dominating. You know, when you're playing the Niners, you have to game plan for Nick Bosa, right? And he's still wrecking games. You feel me? He had 5 double-digit sack games this past season. Had 3, I believe, against Indianapolis. He's just an animal, dog. He's powerful. One of the strongest guys. Got to be one of the strongest guys in the league, right? Him and Joey are just different, but he's built crazy. You feel me? And he's relentless. The Bosas are relentless type players. They don't give up. And so when you have the athletic ability like no other, right? And you have strength and you are relentless. I mean, that's why you're one of the top defensive ends in the league. And he's going to be like that for a long time, dog. Like, he's going to be one of those guys that's probably going down in San Francisco history if he stays with the Niners as one of their all-time greats, especially on defense. That's what I believe about Bosa.
Yeah, and somebody said that. I don't know if they're talking about you or me. Well, I guess they're talking about both of us. We have Reddick at the same spot, saying we got to put more respect on his name. I think that 4 is a very, very fair spot.
Hell yeah! The fact he's in my top 5 is respect enough, because you go to a lot of other people's lists, he ain't in their top 5s.
Yeah,
so the fact that I got Reddick in my top 5, that's a lot of respect on his name.
I think you have to. I think you have to be honest with you.
I wish you talked to some of these Philly fans, though, Joe. I think I wish you would talk to some of these Philly fans. I know you can't do it because you Philly till you die. But, man, when I be hearing these arguments about, I'll take Hassan Reddick over Micah Parsons, I'm starting a team, you a damn lie.
I'll say this.
You a damn lie.
I'll give you this. You want me to give you this?
What?
I do a lot of like the franchise Madden stuff and the fantasy drafts and stuff. There has not been one time where I have taken Hassan Reddick off over Micah Parsons.
You'll never do it.
So, I mean, realistically, I'll
Twitter,
give you that. That's the furthest I can go.
I mean, me and Brunson went back and forth on Twitter. He can fight it till he dies. You could get Brunson, if we get you by yourself and nobody knew, you'd say Parsons. If nobody would know, yes, you would. If nobody knew.
I don't think that it's like a bad thing to be. I mean,
it's okay. It's okay.
Nasty.
It's like nobody's dissing Hassan Reddick, dog. Like,
yeah, and I don't think that Micah is worlds beyond Hassan Reddick. I think that Micah's younger. Micah is probably at
his natural ability is better.
Exactly. He's at the same level, if not, above him as far as, accolades go for his age right now. So, I mean, yeah, Micah's, if he stays healthy, he can be something very, very interesting in this league.
Special.
But Hassan Reddick is very special in this league, and
he's not special. Hassan Reddick. No, I'm not. I can't say Hassan Reddick is special. Hassan Reddick is a very good player, but he's not special. Special is Micah Parsons. Special ability. He doesn't have that special ability like Micah Parsons. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have that natural special ability. No, he doesn't.
It's hard to get three different years with 10+ sacks.
You're right.
Different teams.
He's a dog.
Very, very hard. That's special.
But we're talking about special ability. We're not saying he's not a dog. We're talking about special ability. That's why you would build a team. You would build a team around Micah Parsons. You wouldn't build.
I wouldn't build a team around Micah Parsons because of his special abilities. I would do it because of his age, his upside, and his versatility.
He doesn't have special abilities. That's all the things you're naming.
I mean, but you can say the same thing about Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick definitely has those special abilities. He's not that old. He's like 28.
He's got the special ability as Micah Parsons, bro.
There's differences. There's definitely, and like I said, I would definitely, if I'm building a team, the smart way to go is
6'3", 245
player.
4 or 5.
It's smarter to grab the younger player who's on a cheaper contract right now. Excuse me.
We ain't talking about no contracts. We talking about a player. We forget the contracts. If you're starting a player, if I want to start my defense right now, I'm gonna take Hassan Reddick or Micah Parsons. the Philly in people will be like, you see him what he did, 16 sacks, and what he did in the playoffs. Okay, I get it.
That's
But you watched.
impressive.
Yeah,
It's
you saw what
impressive.
Micah did too. He was only 2 sacks
I
off
didn't
and
see
had
him
more
do
sacks and
anything in
more
the
tackles.
playoffs.
Had more had more tackles for loss. Had only two
What did
sacks
he do in the
less.
playoffs?
Bro,
What was
come
his
on,
playoff?
he
His
was all
playoffs?
over.
I'm just saying
Bro,
his
he was
stats were
all.
good in the
Oh,
playoffs.
first of all, he was all over Brock Purdy, and he was all over him. Brock Purdy was getting rid of the ball just in milliseconds. You feel me? Now, Hassan Reddick
We
knocked him out
broke
the
his
game.
arm.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick knocked him out the game. That ain't my fault.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy was throwing the ball because he was scared of Micah Parsons, because he was scared when he saw Micah. He was
So you're
scared.
saying that Micah Parsons kind of got Brock Purdy a little bit warmed up for Hassan Reddick? Is that what you're saying?
Bruh. Y'all know damn well Micah Parsons. Y'all know damn well. Y'all know. I'm gonna try to tell y'all. I like Hassan Reddick. I said I liked him at Temple. He was a dog. I like Hassan Reddick. So this is no diss. But I'm taking Micah Parsons over Hassan Reddick all day. Not dissing no Hassan Reddick, but he's doing the same thing Hassan is, and he's younger, and he has the ability, and he can play more, and he can play more. He can play all over the field, dog. Come on, man.
I can't sit here and say, as me, I would want him on the Philadelphia Eagles right now over Hassan Reddick. But I will say this. I can't say that. I can't say that. I can't say that. I can't say
if you traded for Michael, if y'all got Michael Parsons tomorrow, you would go crazy.
I'm not saying that it's right or wrong to
you would say
it.
You would say Super Bowl.
I can't say
you would say Super Bowl, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course. If we got him, if he came onto the Eagles with Hassan Reddick, I would be the happiest person in the world. Do not get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. But if you're telling me, you gotta, what is it? Love one, marry one, kill one. And if I gotta do that with Hassan Reddick, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Hassan's my guy. He's an Eagle.
Okay.
He's the Eagle.
I feel you. Rep your squad, but y'all know deep down inside.
Yeah, whatever.
Appreciate you, Red, for the holler.
Shout out to my dog.
He said, love the show. Keep doing y'all thing, man. We really appreciate you. Really appreciate you being a support like you doing, Red, all the time. But hey, you know what? Like I said, dog, it's all good. I ain't mad at you Eagles fans that don't want to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't want to tell the truth, and that's fine with me. But we know damn well y'all love Micah. Would
you take AJ Brown over CeeDee Lamb?
Right now?
Yesterday, tomorrow.
That's a fight. I would have to think about that. You know the reason why? Because I feel like the reason why I would contemplate AJ Brown, because I like his physical side. I like his physical nature. He's a big physical receiver. And he got speed, dog. Like,
yeah, he's fast.
He's fast.
Yeah. And he got a route tree. I think people slept on his route tree because of what Tennessee asked him to do.
I can't diss, he's got a good route tree, but his speed is underrated. For as big as he is, his speed is underrated because he was getting past a lot of corners. You feel me? So I can't say that. That's a fight right there. I'm gonna be honest with you, Joe. That's a fight. That's a fight.
Yeah. See, but you see how you didn't say yes. So I'm holding true to what I said with the whole, you know what I'm saying? That's why now you understand why I said it. It's hard to say, yeah, you know what I mean? But hey,
AJ Brown's a dog. I can't take that from him. It's funny because they had on YouTube, I don't know if it was NFL Network where they had the top 10 plays of all the NFL teams, right? So I was just watching. So I was watching all the top 10 plays, and I just happened to, Philly happened to come on. I was watching the top 10 plays, and mostly damn near all them highlights was AJ Brown.
Yeah, he's different.
He was cooking them dudes. I was like, damn, he was kind of nice, dog, because he was dominating them corners. So I got to give AJ Brown his props. This ain't no love affair, but I got to give him his respect, dog.
Devontae Smith just as good, brother. You got to watch his highlights.
But I ain't taking him over CeeDee, though. No.
He's something different, but
I mean, nice, but I ain't taking him over no CeeDee, dog.
I almost had you. I'll take it, bro. But I appreciate everybody that rocking with us in the comments and everything. I think next one, I think we should wait on the schedule. I think we should give it a little bit of time for the schedule. But we'll pick another top 10. I'm having fun with these top 10s. We'll pick another group to go over. But is there anything you want to say to these lovely people before we get up out of here?
Nah, man, just keep on. Like I said, as always, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you like it. Hit subscribe on either one of our channels. You know, we're going hard in the paint. Like I said, OTAs just started. You've seen over there. If you're a Philly fan, make sure you go over there and support my dog, Joe Castro. He brings all that good Philly heat. You love them Cowboys, come over, holler at me. I don't go as hard in the paint as I used to, but we got such a great community, and we flown. We got some great interviews, getting ready to get lined up. Really soon. I've been talking to some people in the street, so we're about to bring some guys on, talk some good Cowboys football. So just like I said, make sure you continue to support Best of Enemies show. It's going to be getting hot and heavy once we get into training camp, and then as you know, the season is going to be really nice. And then once we do our games, I think the games are going to be extra lit this year. Yeah, we were excited about them last year, and we were getting into it last year, and we had backups. You feel me? So I can only imagine when we got our dogs playing but everybody's healthy and our dogs are playing. That's going to be a game. Yeah, me and Joe probably going to be arguing. Our girls will probably be like, man, y'all good? Y'all fighting again, dog. Y'all say y'all ain't going to do it. So we'll probably be talking shit. You know, that same day, the next day we'll make up afterwards. Exactly. We're probably gonna be, we're gonna be going
24-hour rule.
Yeah, we're going 24-hour rule. I'm not gonna like Joe for 24 hours, but after that 24 hours, I'll be back friends with him again.
Facts, exactly. Yeah, our girls make sure we squash everything.
Hey, it's just like what the great players would say. That's my dog, but when we play on the field, I don't like him. Exactly. And that's the way. Like I've had a lot of my friends I played football with, basketball with, some of my best friends. But when we on the opposite team, dog, no, I go extra hard at them. I'm talking shit. I'm trying to fight with them, and then we might fight a little bit afterwards. But then we'll be cool. We'll be normal. But hey, I ain't going. We gotta bring it. That's why we gotta do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun season. I'm excited for this year. Shout out to my girl. I saw a lot of people in the comments saying congratulations and happy anniversary.
Oh yes, sir. Happy
shout out to her, man.
Yes,
she's dealt with me for 2 years. I don't know how she does it. She probably wants to kill me every day. I know.
Hey, shout out to her though.
Crazy. So
shout out to her though, because I'm gonna give her a shout out right now. She said, "I don't care. Y'all gotta do y'all Best of Enemies podcast. Facts. Y'all gotta do y'all show." Because I love that show. I love how y'all rock. So we'll schedule that around. So shout out to the lady for saying that. And shout out to the Best of Enemies, because we got to be doing something right if she said that.
Exactly. We got the queen's approval. So, I love her to death, man. I'm excited for the next 20 years with this woman. So, yeah. But either way, I appreciate everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. And we will be back next week, man. I am Joe. That is James. And I have to find the outro. But other than that, we are the best at Peace.
We're brothers.
We're brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're colored.